Hello, my name is Keller, and my project is on sleep interruption and noise pollution. Um, Specifically, I chose this project because I've been getting woken up in the early hours, about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, by garbage trucks. And I had no idea before starting this project um, that there were actually 3 companies in town that work in town and use the garbage routes. Um, so the garbage trucks were coming on Monday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays, and I was getting woken up all those nights every time. I wanted to do this project on that and also figure out what the impacts noise have on humans today in our busy and more often loud environments. My methodology was to record the times and days of the trash collection when the garbage trucks were coming. I also wanted to conduct neighbor interviews and see what they thought about the situation. I wanted to talk to other people who had lived or traveled to other cities or worked in noisy environments just to kind of collect some facts on that. Also collect facts on the impacts of sleep interruption. I wanted to obtain data pertaining to noise abatement policy of Grand Junction and then go ahead and obtain federal statutes on noise ordinance. I thought that these actually knowing what was available, knowing what was allowed and not allowed, would be a really good place to start. And it turned out that it really was. I found out some really good information, talked to some really good people, and got some really good responses. Um, it was really an interesting go. So the area of my neighborhood, I'm on the corner of 13th and Elm Street, believe it or not, in Grand Junction, Colorado. This map shows the corner in detail with the alley situation to my apartment complex in relation to several dumpsters in the alley. The rest of the block consists of around 15 regular homes, most around 50 or 60 years old or so, and they're the smaller bungalow type houses. We live by a block away from Colorado State or Colorado Mesa University. The further you go down this alley, which continues down throughout the whole block, more and more dumpsters are placed to service these homes. As you can see, there's not a lot of room to navigate, and there's really not much parking. I mean, there is, but it's very tight. So I conducted neighbor interviews, and most neighbors were very aware of what was going on with the trucks. One of my questions were, have you ever complained about the garbage trucks? And no one really had. So I thought that was interesting. And then I wanted to go ahead and figure out the effects of long-term exposure and getting woken up. And, they have found that there's increased mortality in noisier areas. European countries have done a lot of studies on this. Our studies are not really being done correctly because our federal office, the Office of Noise Abatement and Control, was defunded by Reagan in the early 1982, citing budget concerns. Yet we do know that noise pollution is also taking its toll on U.S. workers. More than 30 million Americans work at jobs where they are exposed to hazardous sound levels on a regular basis. 1/3 of Americans work with some degree of hearing loss that they can attribute to sound exposures. Chronic levels of stress hormones, as you are dealing with getting woken up and all these things, it leads to high blood pressure, immune deficiency, stroke, and a host of other illnesses. I put this slide in because prehistoric noises really helped our forebears to survive. If you're in your cave and you're good and safe in the cave, the kids are in the cave, they're not going to come out of the cave if they hear lion noises outside of the cave. That scare that they had actually was a good scare to keep them inside and keep them safe. Um, Getting woken up to noises that they might not be similar to what the prehistoric noises were, but it's giving the same responses in our bodies as getting woken up by a lion, so to speak. So these cortisol and stress hormones and everything affects our hearts, affects our minds, affects our daily everything. My project ended on a really good note. I got in contact with a gal by the name of Jamie Rockney, who works at the Public Utilities Department, just to ask her where I could find the policies for Grand Junction. And in talking with her, I told her what was going on because she'd asked, and she said that it was the responsibility of each company, garbage truck company, to do their own routes, of course. Well, unbeknownst to me, she must have done something or figured out something because 2 weeks after our talk, the trucks stopped coming at night. She had cited that there was not sufficient lighting in that alley because it is tight for them to be back there at night. Anyway, there's cars all over and lots of parking. At night people are home, so when they're going in the middle of the night to collect trash, there wasn't a lot of room, and they did have to back up a lot. So in my case, it really ended up well. Um, we've been getting really good sleep the last few weeks, and it's been nice, and we've had a lot better dealings inside the household. I think that I'm going to ask my neighbors pretty soon if they noticed, and how does it make them feel. I really learned a lot from this project, way more than I thought. I'm really shocked that we do not have a federal office of abatement and control. Um, when Reagan defunded it, I, you would assume it would have been, refunded later, but it was not, and it was left up to the states and the local communities. And in my case, that actually worked out really well, that it was a local problem that could be locally solved quickly. But it could have been something that wasn't. But I do think we do need to refund the office myself, just because we need to be able to do some studies of our own and figure out what needs to be done to create a healthier, and less stressful environment overall, and that includes noise. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Have a good day.